Have you ever wondered why some words and phrases are instantly memorable and others just disappear? Well, it's all to do with the brain's psychology and how memory works. And in this video, I'm going to break down the principles behind why some quotations are instantly memorable. Let's go. The first thing a quotation needs to have is emotion. This taps into your brain's emotion center, the amygdala, and if a quotation has some sort of emotional impact, it's much more likely that you'll remember it. That's why something like Lady Macbeth's "out damn spot" with that exclamation mark and the passion that she puts into it is something that sticks in people's minds. The next couple of principles are to do with rhythm and patterns. Your brain is always looking for these and a principle called cognitive fluency. So something like Julius Caesar's "I came, I saw, I conquered," that repetition in there helps the rhythm and makes your brain more likely to remember the quotation. However, your brain is always trying to look for these sorts of patterns or schemas. Now, if you go for the principle of schema violation, which means breaking the patterns, it's something a little bit surprising, and often this can help with learning quotations as well. So something like from George Orwell's 1984, "War is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength," is doing something that your brain necessarily wouldn't expect. So that's something that is going to stick out and make it more memorable. Your brain is also pretty egotistical, and it's going to make sure that it remembers stuff that is directed towards you. Things that are a little bit vague or about the world in general are not so memorable, but anything that's directed directly towards you is going to make sure that you remember it. So something like "to thine own self be true" from Hamlet, that's a very memorable quotation. Repetition of anything is a great way to learn stuff, and the brain is going to remember stuff if you repeat it, particularly spaced out over time. We see this in people learning lines for plays, but also particularly in advertising. If I show you this logo, chances are that the words that are going to pop into your head are these underneath it. Now that's because you've seen it hundreds and hundreds of times, so it makes it much more memorable. Next is visual memory. Now, due to dual coding theory, your brain is much more likely to remember something if it has both a visual and verbal element to it. So something like Emily Dickinson's "Hope is a thing with feathers" provides a really interesting picture for your brain to remember, and that is something that is definitely going to stick in the memory. And lastly is a thing called the halo effect. Now this means that quotations are much more memorable if they're associated with somebody who is particularly respected or an authority figure. So Martin Luther King's "I have a dream" is something that loads of people remember, and it's not just because it has that repetition that we've talked about before, it's not just because it has that visual element to it, it's because we associate it with him, somebody who we all respect. Now, it's all very well knowing all of these principles, but it's actually really useful to you if you need to learn something verbally. That means if you're learning quotations, try and find something that is particularly emotional. Try and find something where you can associate it with a verbal image. Try and put it with an authority figure who you respect. If you tap into all of these principles, you'll memorize quotations much more easily.